The rundown on the trip. Secretary Locke, it's great to see you. Can you summarize for us? There were some positive things that came out that maybe got lost in the shuffle. What did the president accomplish?
Oh, the president really accomplished a great deal. First of all, advocating on behalf of U.S. businesses. In India alone, he was able to report some $10 billion of sales of made-in-USA goods and services, which will support or create some 50,000 jobs. And that's very, very important. And then, of course, he went to the APEC summit meeting, the leaders of the APEC, Asian Pacific economy countries, the fastest growing economies of the world, and really indicated that the United States is a presence advocating on behalf of U.S. companies. And we're already seeing the results of that effort, not just in India or Asia, but all around the world, because the Commerce Department has also been helping American companies sell their made-in-USA goods and services, whether airplanes to road construction projects, totaling some $13 billion so far this year. Again, thousands and thousands of new jobs.
It's hard to walk the fine line where we are right now with actions from the Fed and the accusations, whether they're true or not, about manipulating or trying to weaken the dollar. And then you're trying to get China to do certain things. Who's making the policy now, Secretary? It must make your head spin to try to put the right face on all of this.
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve Board is independent of both the Congress and the administration. But the goal of the Fed, as they've indicated, is to stimulate the economy and create more jobs. That's certainly, I think, an objective that everyone agrees on, and certainly this administration. We know that we have too many millions of people unemployed, people worried about the future, and that's what the president is focusing on, and that's what the Congress is focusing on, and that's what the American people want, focusing on job creation and getting our economy back on track. And that's why the president's trip to Asia, meeting with the world leaders, talking about currency issues, making sure that the Asian countries and some of the other fast-growing countries don't rely on U.S. consumers spending more than they earn, that those other countries have to increase domestic consumption, which would be great for American companies so that we can sell more of our goods and services to those countries like China instead of those countries exporting to America.
What tied our hands, do you think, on being able to get that deal done with South Korea? And how do we ever walk the balance between realizing we need to sell into these emerging economies so we can't walk down the protectionist road here for our unions and to keep jobs here if we expect to have things reciprocated from the other side, Mr. Secretary? I mean, what should we do to try and get that South Korea deal done?
Well, we're not giving up. In fact, there's going to be an exchange of very high-level government officials, delegations over the next several, as both the President Obama indicated and the President of South Korea indicated. They're still going to try and get it done. But what's really important is that we simply not have a deal for the sake of a deal. So I'm very proud that the President is standing up on behalf of American companies, making sure that if we have a deal, that American companies are truly able to have fair, open access to these markets so that we can sell our goods and services into those countries, creating jobs here at home for the people of America.
Mr. Secretary, this is Robert Brusca. You know, everybody likes free trade, and the problem with free trade, though, is that most of the goods that get traded wind up having the United States importing them rather than exporting them. Our comparative advantage seems to be in things like financial services and some agricultural goods and things like this. And a lot of countries really don't want to let a lot of these services and financial services, they don't want to let foreign countries in. And so what do we gain? Are we really going to be able to gain jobs by trying to break down the trade barriers, or is this going to turn out to be a net job loss for us? How are you going to try to turn it into a job gain?
No, actually, for instance, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, for the America's Competitiveness Forum, where we're meeting with the ministers and leaders of all of the countries of the Western Hemisphere, from Canada all the way down to Latin America, South America. And they all want the U.S. economy to grow. They want the U.S. to sell more of its goods and services around the world, because the stronger the U.S. economy is, quite frankly, the stronger their economies will be. And that's what, in fact, the Prime Minister of India said last week. He wants the U.S. economy to recover as quickly as possible, to be as strong as possible, because it's in their economic self-interest to have a strong U.S. economy. But if you look at some of the other previous trade agreements that we have, for instance, with the Central American Free Trade Agreement, exports to those countries over the last several years from the United States have almost doubled or grown by very substantial percentage points and have really created a lot of jobs for the people of America. And that's what we're seeing with respect to other agreements. We're really trying to make sure that we open the market in those other countries so that American companies have a fair and level playing field, from financial services to agriculture to medical goods and even clean energy projects. The developing countries all around the world have enormous needs, whether it's feeding its people, to providing medicine and medical devices, to environmental projects, cleaning up polluted rivers and streams. And that's where American companies excel. So we at the Commerce Department, with the support of the President, is trying to advocate on behalf of American companies. These services, products are highly valued, in great demand all around the world. So we're promoting those American products and services.
In the G20 summit, one of the countries that was the most vociferous about complaining about the U.S. quantitative easing program and its effect on the dollar was Brazil, where their argument was, well, you know, if the United States dollar is going to get weaker and if it's going to increase U.S. exports, then who are we going to export to? Developing economies clearly think that this is a way for them to bootstrap growth. So, you know, how do we bridge this dichotomy that they think that we're going to be the growth target for them and we think they're going to be the growth target for us?
Well, growth for each other is actually mutually beneficial, and those are the type of arrangements and sales of American goods and services that we seek. The stronger economy that we have in the United States, the more that consumers will buy, the more that they'll travel, and that can also benefit other countries. And the stronger Brazil is, the more that their middle class grows, then the more they're going to want products and services from the United States. So what we've really got to focus on, though, is that, for instance, the policy of the Feds is to stimulate growth, and it's in all the economic interest of other countries to have that strong U.S. economy.
So, Secretary, how do we approach Colombia this time around? You know, the president ran on that, you know, getting that deal through, and it doesn't seem to be a top priority. When you walk by the officials from Colombia, do you kind of go like, what do you do? I mean, why can't we get that done?
Well, actually, there are a lot of intense negotiations going on as we speak, and I've been meeting with some of the ministers from Colombia and the representatives of the government of Colombia at this America's Competitiveness Forum here in Atlanta. But the president set a goal of working on the Korea Free Trade Agreement. We're still working on it, and we're very hopeful. But again, we can't just accept any deal for the sake of a deal. We want to make sure that there's really true access for American companies so that American-made goods and services can be sold to these other countries, and we create jobs in America. That's what the American people want.
All right, Secretary Locke, thanks, and good luck at the summit today. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, coming up, the brains behind smartphones.